I'm an alcoholic. I'll press OK on here. Sorry. My sobriety date is March 11th, 2016. So I have a little over 8 years, which I know might seem like a lie to some people. Because when I first came in and I saw people with I'm gonna say like over 30 days, I was like, you're full of shit. You're full of shit. Like there's no way. Like people with years, I was like, oh, they must have had like one or two drinks or like at a party or Taco Tuesdays or something. Like there must be a loophole. But I'm here to say that I've not found a loophole. And so it's all one stretch of time, which is crazy to me. And I have a sponsor. She knows she's my sponsor. She texted me the other day and was like, "You still want to work together?" I was like, "I know, I'm sorry. I've been really busy with this host committee stuff. We're like eight-ish days away right now, so it's been crazy. Um, and I have a home group. It's 6:45 Monday nights at the Phoenix Theater in Petaluma. It's a really, really killer meeting. If you don't feel that way about your home group, find a different home group that you feel really passionate about. I'm the GSR for that meeting, and then I have some sponsees, and I work the 12 steps and 12 traditions, and I'm trying to get through the concepts. It's just really hard to find a service sponsor that doesn't have so much going on. And then I'm currently the chair of SWACYPAA 10, which is crazy. It's almost over. If you want to come see me in person, it's August 8th through the 11th in San Rafael, California. We're like less than an hour away from San Francisco. So if you need an excuse to visit San Francisco, there you go. Right now, pre-reg is $35 online. It will go up at the door. And you can check it out at swacypaax.org. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to speak tonight. I was actually driving to my grandma's house in the East Bay, and Mike was like, "Oh, like so and so supposed to speak," and I was like, "Yeah." And then I texted them to be like, "Hey, reminder," and they're like, "Oh shoot, I'm at work," and I was like, "Okay, I guess it's my turn." It's funny how that works out. And so anyway, I'll start at like the beginning. I was born and raised in an alcoholic home. That's not what makes me an alcoholic, but it is part of my experience, right? Um, Not healthy, not fun, a lot of chaos. And then, oh my God, there's a train around here somewhere that keeps going off. I'm sorry if you can hear it. But yeah, so I'm gonna roll my windows up, see if that helps. But I used to read a lot to escape, right? And for me, it was like I would also like pretend to run away. Like I would go all the way to the fence of my like house and then like hide there and like pretend to be somewhere else, right? So I was constantly wanting to escape my own reality. And then I got to high school and I found theater. And then um I found boys. And then I found girls, and like I was really just like outside of myself completely and like really obsessive about relationships. And like, I just wanted to be loved, and I felt like finally it was happening. But I stayed in a lot of not great relationships because of it. And then I started smoking like uh let's see, I think I was maybe like a junior in high school when I maybe like took my first hit of outside issues. And I like didn't feel anything. It was probably bunk, right? And then nothing until junior year. Um, Junior year passed, and then senior year I was like smoking whenever I could with my friends, but I didn't bring anything home. I never bought anything because like I was threatened with my dad saying he would call the police, and like I wasn't afraid of the police. I was more like afraid of my dad. So I was like not bringing this around, and I said I would never drink ever because I didn't want to be my parents, right? So fast forward to like I'm 19, super codependent, and I was dating a guy, and he said don't knock it till you try it. And so I tried it, right? Like you have to if you're codependent and someone's like just do it, you're like, yeah, I love you. Like, of course I'm gonna do that. And I loved it. And like I was with my best friend and it was like Christmas time. It was like a Christmas party. And like all the theater people were outside like making out. If you were a part of theater, you know that like that's like what they do. They're just weird. Like that, very touchy-feely people. And my best friend and I were inside and we were dancing around like sugar plum fairies to the Christmas music, right? And then like every time someone would come inside, we'd like freeze and then we would start up again when they left and people were like, what is going on? But I had a blast. I had so much fun. Like just me and my best friend, just chilling. I did my first drunk dialing. I called that boyfriend and then I jumped on a trampoline and I don't think I drunk drove that night. um, but I did steal alcohol the next morning because people owed it to me because I couldn't buy my own and I wanted to do it over and over again. And luckily with theater, you can. I had like older friends. I was in community college. They were able to buy drinks and, you know, um, that's what I did. And I just kept going that way. And then I had a boyfriend who was older than me and he would buy me alcohol and didn't see any problem in it. And then I turned 21, that boyfriend broke up with me, and I was like, I don't care because I'm 21. So I just started going to bars, and that was like, I turned into my parents real quick. But I denied it because I was like, I don't have a family at home. I'm young. Like, this is what people do. So that's what I did is I would go to the bar every single night and hang out with my friends who also went to the bar every single night. Um, and for me, like I personally love a dive bar. I love a deep, seedy, dark place where there's like always that one old guy that's been there forever that orders the same thing that doesn't really talk to anybody, but he's always there. It's very comforting. He's always there. And then like it would be like me and my friends who were in our like 20s to 30s, right? And yeah, those were my friends. I like lost a lot of my friends from high school because I found out later when I was doing my amends that they didn't want to watch me um, do this to myself. They were like, you're putting yourself in so much harm and like, we don't want to witness it, you know, and I really was, but I didn't really think about that till later, um, you know, till after I had quit. Um, so yeah, like I had like little consequences here and there, right? And I was just like, oh, this is like normal. Losing my keys, my phone, my wallet, overdrafting my account, then calling my bank mad because I overdrafted my account and they charged me a fee and pulling out as much money as I could out of the ATM, even though I know I had $0 in my bank account, you know, stuff like that all the time. And then I started waking up places I didn't know where I was. I didn't know if I had slept with that person, but you like wake up in bed naked and like math is math, you know, like it's a very easy equation to surmise. And then like not knowing that person's name or where you are, or if you drove there or if they drove there or like what exactly is happening. Kind of just like little tiny pokes at my like my heart. Like it was just like, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Like my main goal was to get drunk and like for me getting drunk is blacking out because I didn't know that people didn't do that like until I got sober. I didn't realize that not everybody blacks out when they drink and I was like, wait, what? Um so yeah, I would drink to the point of blacking out all the time. And then my second goal was to go home with someone because I didn't want to go home alone. And like if we accomplished both, that's a great day. But like the main goal was to like drink. And I accomplished that goal a lot. And then I'll fast forward to my bottom, right? Like my friends were like, I know you're drinking, and you know how I know you're drunk is because you're crying. Because at the very end of my drinking, I used to drink to kind of like self-medicate, not only to have fun, right, but to self-medicate. I had a lot of trauma as a kid, and I guess that's I was just trying to block out my existence. And it would still come through when I was drinking, towards the end. I would just like black out and wake up crying, and that's not cute, especially when you're at someone's house. Like you come to and they're like, please leave. Um, so that happened more than I'd like to admit. Um, and then for me, my bottom happened Um, I was drinking because I was upset I didn't get a job because I wanted to move away from my family. I didn't get this like job, and I went out drinking with a friend, and he left before I was done. So I just kept drinking. And it was like obviously at a bar that I'd been to a million times, and like bartenders love alcoholics because like we keep their jobs, like it's job security for them. Plus, like if you like really know them, you've tipped them well, like they'll give you extra, right? And so that's what happened is like I don't really know how much I drank that night, and I don't remember leaving the bar, but I did wake up to my car alarm going off, and I couldn't move my car, and I got out, and my front and rear passenger tire were um they'd been popped, and I'd ran into a tree. Did not know that at the time. And then threw my keys into a bush because I was like, they can't prove I was drinking and driving if my keys are not on me. Very simple. Like, I mean, it makes sense. And yeah, so the cops came and obviously they didn't buy that shit. Like, they're like, get in the car, you know? And also pro tip, if you do pass any of the sobriety like tests, right? Don't say yeah right after because I did that and I feel like that was a big red flag that like this girl was real drunk. Um, I did pass the one where you have to like stand on one leg and like put your arms out and like touch your nose, and I was very proud that I didn't fall over during that. Still proud. Uh, anyway, so went to the little jail cell. Had a breakdown. My friend picked me up, and we went back to my house, and then I couldn't get in because my keys were still at that bush. So he like he took me to his house and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna have a nightcap." And I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "Do you want one?" And like honestly, I didn't know what else to do. I had no solution and I felt like shit. And like drinking was all I knew how to cope. Like I didn't know what else to do. So I did that, took that shot, and then he got tired of me crying. So he went into another room. And I cried myself to sleep. And the next day I woke up and I threw up and I said, "I can't do this anymore. I can't drink anymore. I can't do this." And my friend Greg said, good luck. Because I've only lasted a week. And I said, "Fuck you, Greg. I'm going to do this shit." And I still call Greg on my sobriety birthday to say thank you. And, you know, it takes what it takes. But like for me, it wasn't like an external bottom. It was like an internal for me. Like the feelings I felt were so terrible. I realized I was becoming the thing I didn't want to be. Like, yeah, I was like drinking in a bar or whatever, but I was like, oh, I don't have a family. But I knew once I got that DUI, I was like straight on the path to becoming my dad. And it really broke my heart because I didn't want to be that. Right. Um, so I didn't know what else to do. So that night I didn't go home. The next night I did not go home. Um, and so my first day of sobriety, I was white knuckling it. My second day of sobriety, I went to a meeting. And it was a young people's meeting in Contra Costa, California, in Pleasant Hill. Great meeting hub. It's 193 Mayhew Way. Lots of meetings. And it was a young people's meeting. I'm really glad it was because, you know, I came in with a resentment against AA because you guys didn't fix my dad. And like, how are you going to fix me? Like, this is, I don't know why I'm even here, but I don't really know where else to go, right? Nowhere else to turn. And you know, I saw God on the walls and I freaked out and I was like, what the heck? Because I was raised in a religious home, went to a religious school for 13 years, and I was like, this is not the place to be. But my first meeting, I didn't hear much. I did raise my hand as a newcomer. Don't know how or why that happened. Definitely not me. Definitely not something I wanted to do, but I was desperate, right? I didn't know what I didn't realize you didn't have to. I feel like maybe I thought it was like you had to do it. Otherwise you couldn't be there. I have no idea. But the topic of the meeting, the speaker said fear, you know, and I raised my hand and I said, my biggest fear right now is this, like saying, "Hi, I'm Nat, I'm an alcoholic." Admitting that I was an alcoholic was my biggest fear. I never ever wanted to be an alcoholic, right? And Now it's hard for me not to say, like, especially if I'm being introduced to somebody, it's hard for me to not be like, hey, not alcoholic. Or like, especially if you're like in a round table at work and everyone's introducing themselves or at school. Oh my God, holding that back, very hard. But anyway, here's what happened, right? Like a bunch of people surrounded me and they were like, we're going bowling. And I was like, no, thank you. But they were like, you should come back and like, here's some meetings that you might like. And here's my phone number. And somebody bought me a big book, and they wrote their name and their phone number in it. And I still have it. It's falling apart, but I still have it. Um, and I got a sponsor and she's still my sponsor today. And we started working the steps. And for me, um, all the ones with God in it, super hard for me to handle when I first came in. Still hard, really. Step two, it says came to believe, and my sponsor really hammered that in. Like, you don't have to believe right now. It says came to believe. You can believe whenever you want, or like, do you believe that I believe? And like moved on. Next step. And then like, because I had like a lot of past experience with religion and was not happy, she was like, how about you come up with your own conception of a higher power? Like, and I was like, what? She was like, make a list of all the things it is and all the things it's not. And it was important for me to list the things it wasn't, because I kept picturing, you know, old school stuff, that it was just like a God that was really spiteful, and punishing and vengeful. And I do not subscribe. So that happened. I see that I have 5 minutes. I acknowledge the timer. So yeah. So far for me recently, step 12 has saved my butt. Sponsoring other people has really been a light in my life. And it's kept me in the steps, right? It's really, really helped me. And just like people bought me my first big book, I normally buy my sponsees their first big book. And, they're like, why? And I'm like, because it was done for me. And like, maybe you'll do it one day too, just like pass it forward, pay it forward. Um, and, I'm going to share a little bit about my experience being sober. Within the first year and a half, I 5150'd myself, and I got 5150'd again. I did not do it the second time. I was taken away. And I ended up getting put on medication. I was diagnosed with CPTSD, and I felt like I was doing sobriety wrong, and that I was a failure. But it turns out I just have mental health issues, and it talks about it in the big book. That like we should get help from people who know what they're talking about. And then, I also have an eating disorder, and I have dated in the program. I also got AA married and AA divorced. So, you can stay sober through all kinds of things. Like my ex-husband was actively using meth and heroin, and we eloped during the pandemic. And so I was kind of trapped with that, and I did not use or drink. I got more deep into my program, got into our sister program, which I highly recommend to people to go to Al-Anon, because you deal with alcoholics every day if you go to a meeting. What it looks like. Oh, and the reason I bring all this stuff up is because I felt like I was doing it wrong, like I was different, but I'm not, right? I'm just like everybody else. I have a problem with drinking. What it looks like now is I'm on a host committee and I'm freaking out because I don't have control. And I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that like it's always going to be okay. Like the less I resist, like in life right now, the less I resist, if I just have that faith that like things are going to be okay, because they've always been okay. And they've always worked out, like maybe not the way I want them to, but they do work out. Like having that faith in a higher power that's got my back, like to actually have that and to say that is like a really big deal, because I don't always feel that way, but I'm feeling that way right now. And like, if I ever need to have a reminder of like powerlessness, I do go to the ocean and I do let my ass get knocked down by a wave, because I cannot control that. It's proof to me that there's something bigger. I'm not a spokesperson for AA. If you did not like what you hear, like there's a bunch of other meetings. And you know, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's a suggested program. Um, Getting a sponsor is encouraged, working the 12 steps is encouraged, getting a home group, getting a service commitment. These are things that like keep you in the center. Like finding your people, like I call my people more than I call my sponsor, I call my friends all the time. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say. Um, you know, uh, I've gotten a new lease on life this last couple of years. After my divorce, I've been able to like explore and like, make uh like long trips and like have so much fun. And I thought my life would be over. I did because like that was like my end goal, right? It was to like have a nice happy ending, but things happen and like I'm really happy by myself. And that's somewhere I didn't think I'd ever be. And it takes time and things get different. They don't always get better, but like they will get different. And I don't know if I have anything else. I only got like 30 seconds. So anyway, try to go to a conference. Like if you've never been to a conference of young people, it's wild. It's wild. You should do it. Like sleep on the floor if you have to. You probably won't sleep, but like I encourage you to do it because it's like definitely shown me I can have a blast and meet new people and have friends everywhere without having to drink or do drugs. So anyway, thanks for letting me be of service.